Hi, everyone. Let's try this again. Here, welcome to Friday Tidbits here on Lead Life by Design. Thank you for joining me today. And I have to start the question for you. Have you ever felt like a fraud? You know, I feel like a fraud so often in my life. And it makes you really question your capabilities, your commitment to yourself, your ability to grow in your career, right? Feeling like a fraud, feeling like you don't belong in the position that you are in or a position that you're applying for, right? What exactly is imposter syndrome, right? When you feel like a fraud, it is a huge symptom of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the psychological patterns in which we discount or doubt our capabilities and internalize our fear of not being good enough and being exposed by someone else as being a fraud, right? So it involves a constant fear of exposure, isolation, and rejection. I'm just going to review my notes so that I don't say it the wrong way. So happy. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Connie. Thank you for joining me. When you're looking at what imposter syndrome is, right? You're looking at those internal discussions, those internal voices. You usually have a voice on one shoulder that is doubting you, that's comparing to other people, that's looking at the job that you're doing and wondering, is it good enough to even submit? Do I know enough to step into this position? Do I know enough to present that presentation I know I need to present for school? You know, that was the constant doubt that you have on yourself about not being good enough to step into the next position, right? Looking at yourself in the mirror, right? You're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're asking yourself, how in the heck did you even get here, right? How in the world did I get this position? I don't deserve this position. I don't deserve this career. I didn't do all the work, right? As leaders, we are groomed and we want to, it's our heart's mission to bring everyone else up. Hi, Rochelle. Nice to see you. Bring everyone else up in our team, right? A good leader is all about the success of their team, right? When the team succeeds, the leader succeeds. But when the leader gets promoted, the imposter syndrome steps in again, right? That I'm not good enough, that I didn't do the work, right? It's our job to give our team credit as a leader. It's our job to groom our team to be the best that they can be, right? And when we get honored for that, we get recognized for that, the first place that we go is into not good enough. I don't deserve it because I didn't do all the work, right? We don't allow ourselves to actually enjoy the accomplishments that we have in our life, which keeps us small. It keeps us from moving forward. It keeps us into self-sabotage mode, because if we don't feel like we deserve what we have, we'll sabotage it in a heartbeat, right? We sabotage it with anxiety. We sabotage it with depression. We sabotage it with self-thoughts and arguments with other people, because we're still fighting our internal battle of being good enough, right? Some of the symptoms that you can, when you're going through the process, and some symptoms that you can see for yourself and whether imposter syndrome is what's really going on for you, right? Is recognizing the anxiety that's coming up for you. How nervous are you all the time? How anxious are you to actually step in front of people and do what you know you can do, right? There's the logical, I know that I can do it. And then there's the subconscious going, nah, you're not good enough, right? You're not good enough. And whose voice is that that's saying you're not good enough? Is it your own? Or is it someone else's from your childhood? The criticism that you may have grown up with, the trauma that you may have had in battling with your self-worth, right? the causes of imposter syndrome can come from childhood. It can come from trauma. It comes from the direct level of believing that you are worth having what you want. You're worth shooting for that dream, that vision you have for yourself, right? A lot of people that have self-worth issues and that really allow that imposter syndrome to run them rather than them taking and walking through it, those are usually the ones that truly hold on to the belief that they're not good enough. They hold on to what other people have told them throughout their life, right? And the good news is we get to work through it. We get to work through it, and there are strategies that we can take to work through it. But you have to recognize it first, right? And how do we recognize it? And that's recognizing it through the anxieties that show up for us, right? The depression that shows up, the perfectionism, the need to do it all by yourself, right? That need to prove that you're worth it, that you deserve the position. And so you have to do the work yourself rather than allowing your team to do it. Right? Those are all symptoms of the imposter syndrome stepping in, right? We tend to focus on our deficits, not our assets, right? If we're looking at us as an individual in a position that we're working and we're feeling like we're not worthy, where's your focus going? Where does the not worthy focus go, right? It goes to our deficits. It goes to what we don't know in the moment or what we don't think we know in the moment, rather than on the other side of things, looking at what we do know. Like, what do we know about ourselves in this position? Looking at those positive attributes that we have. You know, being a good leader, having a successful team is a worthy position, right? It's a talent to be able to groom a team. So looking at that from a positive perspective of being a good leader versus the negative perspective of I didn't do the work, right? Let's see some of the others I have listed on here. The fear of being judged as on an egotistical or a better than position. That's a really big one when it comes to imposter syndrome. You know, we look outside of ourselves at people who have come before us, right? And we can look at those people as either one, in comparison to where we are, which is really going to feed the imposter syndrome. It's going to feed that not good enough. It's going to feed the what we don't know, our deficits, right? Or we can look at them on the other side and say, wow, they've been there before this. What did they do to get there? It's a constructive look at somebody who has come before you, not a destructive look at someone who has done it before you and who is quote unquote better than you, right? Experience brings growth. Experience brings security within yourself and within the position that you're in. So when you're comparing yourself to somebody else who has been where you want to be, and you're comparing them in the negative aspect of they are so much better than you, who are you to take that position, right? They're so much better than me. Who am I to step into that position? There's so many other people that can do it better, right? When in the grand scheme of things, there are hundreds of thousands of that same position across the world. There are availability of that position, right? And because the opportunity is there, the competition and being able to see that person as a mentor, as somebody who you can grow through and with, rather than in comparison of, will allow you to help break free from some of that imposter syndrome that's going on. Another really big one that comes up for me all the time, I'm going to go into a little bit of a story. For me, imposter syndrome shows up a lot, right? I have trauma in my childhood. I fought self-worth issues my entire life. There was some points in my life that I just didn't want to live. Like there was no purpose for me to be here because everyone else was better than me, right? When we look at our history and we're looking at the trauma that we have, one, been given, and two, perpetuated through our own personal thoughts, right? Our own personal actions and reactions to those thoughts, right? We perpetuate that, right? So every single time I had a vision for myself, imposter syndrome stepped in. Has never failed. From the time I started working, the not good enough showed up with every single position I took to move up. I'm going to show you a quick little graph, right? I hope you can see this. All right. We all start somewhere, right? At a young age, right out of college, we've got a college degree, we've got the limited, in our mind, it's limited experience to be able to step into a job that we think is going to be enough for our worth, what we're worth, our pay, to match what we're worth, right? We start somewhere. When we start, imposter syndrome steps in because we are so used to hearing our external environment tell us that you're just out of college. You need to get on the ground floor. You need to learn. You don't know enough to get paid that kind of money. Who do you think you are to ask for that? I've been doing this for 30 years and I don't make that, right? Not taking into consideration that the economy has changed, right? And the knowledge that kids are getting these days right out of college is different than the knowledge we may have gotten when we went through college, because education evolves, internships evolve. We get experience doing other things, but our mindset is still stuck at the beginner level, right? The not good enough, that who am I to ask for that kind of money? But then we get our job, we learn what we're doing, and now we got a new vision for ourselves, right? Our vision goes up as we grow. Every single time we meet and exceed our current position, we shoot for another one. Every single time we shoot for another one, we've hit a new upper limit. That upper limit is limited to our belief and our knowledge and our ability to do the job. And then we have this conscious fight with the subconscious, because the conscious fight is going, I'm going to step into this. I know I can learn this. I know I have the skills to do this. And then the subconscious is going, who do you think you are? What makes you better than the person sitting right next to you? Right? That's a new upper level, a new upper limit. That's when we get to work through it again. For me, every single time I leveled up, I physically, my body literally fights me, because the fear of not good enough is so big that my body breaks down, and I still have to work through it, right? I could let it stop me. I could let it hold me in bed all day long. I could let it literally do what it's going to do. But I choose not to. I choose not to let imposter syndrome get in the way. And how I choose to deal with that is I call it out for what it is. I call it out for what it is, because I know that I'm good enough. I know that I can do the job just as well, if not better than others, right? I know that the people who have been there before me are my teachers. They're not my comparison. They're my teachers, right? But the subconscious not good enough is still sitting on the shoulder, screaming in my ear. Screaming in my ear, like, who do you think you are? You're going to fall on your butt. People are going to laugh at you. People are going to judge you. People are going to call you a fraud, right? That's one side of a voice. The other side is saying, no, this is just imposter syndrome. This is all me. This is all internal, right? Calling it out for what it is. The second really, really big one that I found with myself and many of my clients is the identify your identity, right? So many of us have worked so hard to be who we are today that taking us to the next level, what's that next level going to look like for us? Who are we going to be, right? People who know growth and really understand that to level up, you have to let go can be scary, especially when you've been working on yourself, you've been working on your trauma, you've been working on your self-worth, you've been working on your personal value so hard, and you actually really love who you are right now. You've got to the point, like I've gotten to the point I love who I am right now. I do. And the next level is going to challenge that. That next level is going to push me beyond my current comfort zone. And it's going to force me to look at imposter syndrome again, right? It doesn't go away. It is a continuous battle that we deal with within ourselves to work through the fear of doing something great, right? When you step out of your comfort zone, you're doing something great. It's that next great thing for you, right? So what happens when you step into that? Who do you have to let go of to become the next level, right? You have to let go of the idea of being just an employee when you want to be a manager. You have to let go of the mentality of punching a clock when you step into the salary, the exemption position, right? We have to let go of friends that are holding us back when we want to be an entrepreneur. We have to let go of the thoughts and belief systems that have kept us safe for all these years to step into being seen, to being possibly judged, possibly looked at differently. But all of those possibilities are right here. They're right here. And it's up to you to be able to let them go, because when you start seeing them differently, they dissipate. When you realize that the identity you're stepping into is even greater than the greatness you have today, it allows you to release it, right? So identifying, what does that person on the other side look like? And what is that affecting my current identity? How is that improving, let's stay positive, my current identity? And that'll help you take the next step, right? The last thing is focus on the positive truths. We can focus on our deficits. There's no question about it. We all have them, right? There's not a single person on the face of the earth that knows everything about everything. We are constantly learning something new. The experts are constantly learning something new. The gurus learn something new every single day. The CEOs of the top 500 companies are learning every day, because what they have really come to understand is it's in the not knowing that the growth and the opportunities show up, right? It's in the not knowing that the truth shows up. The positive truths, focusing on the fact that I don't have to know it all. Focusing on, I have great skills that fit this job. Focusing on, I can learn anything if I put my mind to it, right? Not focusing on the deficit that I don't know how to type, or I don't know how to answer the phone, or I don't know how to read financials. Right? How can I step into a managerial position when I don't know how to do the numbers? On the opposite side of that is, wow, I get to learn how to read financials. This is so exciting. This is the next step. I get to be a strategic planner. I get to learn how to do that, because it's not a skill I have currently now, but I get to learn that, right? The not knowing can hold you back when it comes to imposter syndrome. It can make you truly believe that you're not good enough to step into it. But if you switch it to, I get to learn something new. This is exciting, because learning is life, right? There's the old proverb that says, once you stop learning, you're dead, right? Like every day we're learning. Every day we're learning something new. We may not acknowledge that we're learning something new. It may not be a conscious effort that we're doing it. But I promise you, if you're aware every single day, you've learned something new every single day, right? It's fantastic. But then the last thing that's so important to getting through imposter syndrome is to talk about it. So many successful people feel like they are not allowed to be vulnerable. If they show vulnerability, it shows weakness. It shows the signs of being a fraud. And therefore, it perpetuates the feeling of being called out. It perpetuates the feeling of not being good enough, right? When you talk about it, and it matters who you talk about it and how you talk about it, right? When you're talking through imposter syndrome, you don't want to talk to the drama queen. The drama queen's going to jump on your train and make it worse, right? You don't want to talk to your mother who criticizes you all the time. Sorry, Mom, I love you, but you don't criticize me. But you just, you don't talk to your mom if she criticizes you all the time, or your father if he criticizes you all the time, right? If you have somebody, a mentor that can truly give you feedback, can help walk you through what you're going through from the perspective of positivity and growth and honesty and love, that's the person that you want to find to talk to about it. Find somebody who has been there before you, who has the same feelings and are working through it with you, right? So talking about it is huge. You cannot get through it in isolation. Your mind tends to fall into perpetuation of negative thinking, and the struggle between the negative thinking and the wanting to know different and do different can be great until you release it to somebody who can help you see the truth, the positive truths in what's going on. And most of the time, it's just leveling up. You are truly looking at greatness, that you are staring in the mirror at greatness, right? With this self-perpetuating wall between you and success. And I am right there with you. I am right there with you, as is 70% of all successful people. Statistically speaking, 70% of all successful people feel this. I believe it's higher than that. I think everybody feels it, right? But not everybody talks about it. Not everybody shows their weakness by being vulnerable and growing through it, right? But it's so critical to talk about it and grow through it. Finding communities that you can share with and really hone in on what exactly it is that's stopping you, right? The upper level that you're hitting, that's literally right there, and on the other side is success. I feel it for myself. I'm there right now. I feel it for myself. I was talking to my coach about it the other day. And it's sometimes it just takes working through it and recognizing where your limits are and stepping through your limits, right? And these 4 things that you can do by calling it out, call it by its name. Imposter syndrome. Thank you. I appreciate you. I do. But you're not serving me right now. I appreciate the thought, but you're not serving me. I'm going to put you on the shelf, and I'm going to start focusing on my positives right now, right? Identify your identity. Be clear on where you are. What are you holding on to? What are you afraid of letting go of in your current position to step into the new one? And what are you afraid of being in the new position? If there's a bias in there that's holding you back, right? Maybe being a manager in your mind means you got to be a jerk. Maybe being a CEO of your own company means you have to be mean and restrictive and you have to spend all this time doing your work, right? Maybe it's false belief systems that are actually keeping you where you are, right? So recognizing the identity of who you are today and who you will be on the other side, not who you think you will be, because if you're using those bias as your descriptive, you need to switch it into who do I want to be on the other side, because a great leader defines it for themselves, right? Fourth, positive truths. Focus on those positives. I have skills. I can do. I am great, right? And then talk about it. Get a mentor. Get someone who can help walk you through it and who can get you to the next level. Because let me tell you, this, from my experience, is the best journey in life. It's the best journey in life. And it's not easy, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? It's not easy, but it is greatness. This right here is greatness. When are you going to level up? Do you feel like a fraud? Identify it, right? There are people around to help you. I'm here if you need it. By the way, I don't think I introduced myself today. Hi, Rachel. Thank you. Yes, the not knowing is so critical. Not knowing what's on the other side, not knowing what life is going to look like, not knowing who you're going to be, right? All of those things are critical. But I am Sheila Wood. I am the CEO of Lead Life by Design and the founder of the Financial Alignment Academy, where we blend the personal development skills with your financial plan and long-term success. And the personal development skills is recognizing the imposter syndrome. It's working through what's going on in your mind. It's that talking to about the coaching, the allowing somebody, myself, work through it with you. So you're not doing it alone, right? That's where the personal development skills comes into play, because we self-sabotage ourselves when it comes to our finances. We self-sabotage ourselves when it comes to our belief systems and those foundational biases that have been guiding us all this time, right? So looking at that piece and then putting them with your financial plan, right? That making more money, that leveling up, working through the stuff that you carry on your shoulders so that you can make more money, right? That's what we do at Financial Alignment Academy. And we're here to help you. I'm here to answer any questions for you. Leave them in the comments, share the video, allow somebody else to realize their greatness. Allow them to see that imposter syndrome might be what's holding them back. I appreciate you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me here on Friday Tidbits. And share it, please. Like it. Leave some comments. Let me know what kind of imposter syndromes you guys have come across. And I will see you next Friday here on Lead Life by Design.